What are you going to do tomorrow? You have an off, no?
Well, finally some...
First of the lot this week.
First of the... Only one this
As
week.
always?
Only one.
Yeah.
Always?
For all
But
of
then,
us...
what plans? There's so much and everyone...
We have ideas for you.
We, before we come to those ideas, everyone is well aware, not just us. All those dear people who subscribe to Sports Today, who've been watching your coverage. It's not Sports Today coverage now, it is Siddharth Vishwanathan's coverage now. You've set the bar too high, you're following everything, you're omnipresent right now, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Well, what to do? People have got other important things to do from Paris also, so they ignore Sports Today, if I may add.
I think we'll
So I
have to
had
chop
to be
this part off.
omnipresent.
No, but then...
See, the problem is...
देखो इसीलिए कहते हैं इतनी ज़्यादा तारीफ नहीं करनी चाहिए.
नहीं. The problem is Asian Games, Commonwealth, and Paris. There's a slot in the daytime. There's a slot in the night time.
Yeah.
And we can't have a fixed 9 to 9
But anyhow,
hour
I want to know as your colleague, since you have the day off tomorrow, a well-deserved one, I would say, and I think all those family members of ours also will wholly agree with me right now.
That he should not take the off.
But it's a well-deserved off for him. As much as we need him here in office, but he has to have his downtime too. So in your downtime, Siddharth, what plans do you have? Because ask me, even though my off comes in the latter half, I already have plans. I know what to do.
I know.
So
But for me,
what is it that you're doing tomorrow?
You also tell your plan now.
I know.
First, rest. Okay. And I will be finally seeing my daughter after 2 days.
Okay.
Oh.
Because I come in the night, she's asleep, but when I leave, she's already in school, and I come back in the night, she's again asleep, so I don't see her.
This to happens in all the big tournaments, I feel.
It happens. So, firstly, downtime will be to spend a lot of time with my daughter. That is one. Second, I wish this off had come 1-2 days after. Because let me tell you one thing, people may think that I earn in crores, I earn in lakhs, nothing of that kind. I am actually very poor at this point. I'm waiting for 31st. Like an आमदनी अठन्नी कच्चर में पहली तारीख जब आती है तो बिरयानी खूब आती है. And अभी now I'm in आचार दही चावल आचार situation.
Speaking of biryani, I have a suggestion for you, because in all of your plans that you mentioned, I didn't see any mention of food over there, and I know how central food is to you. Why don't you go ahead and get a slice of some brilliant kebabs that I have a recommendation for you to go. Galati kebabs.
Where?
You have to, because also I know you've spent so much time here in Noida, you've not visited or seen the true side of Delhi. I've been urging you to cross the Yamuna, quite literally. Cross over to the other side of Delhi and go to this place called Rajinder Da Dhaba. Have the chicken curry there.
You must.
You'll probably just go be camping over there for 1 week, because that's how good the chicken curry over
and it's
there.
like, it's in the open, and there are like tables. There are tables in the line, and everyone stands there and has.
It will amaze you, because so there's two options. You can go dine in. If not, because you got to wait to be able to get a slot inside, to be able to get a seat inside. So what people do is, they roll out their charpais and all, they roll out their mats, and they're very happy. There are some standing tables as well on the outside, so you can take your food, have them on the table, on the charpai, whatever it is.
I am entitled to a cheat day. I have not had a cheat day.
No, and do you not in the parking? I don't know if you have seen that or not. In the
parking, a lot of shady things happen.
No. What I was going to tell you, that after every 10 to 20 meters, there's this tap, so that if you just eat your food in the car, and then you can wash your hands there and just leave from there.
The kind of scenes you see here also, in the near vicinity after 8 o'clock.
Beep.
What are you talking about?
Sarshwat is well aware.
It's beep.
Please.
But anyway.
There's another Delhi wala here, because I'm outnumbered. There are 3 Delhi walas and I'm the only non-Delhi.
For a change.
So,
when it comes to your matters, I really, speak very judiciously.
What matters? I'm talking about the whole restaurant that they're suggesting.
Rajinder Ka Dhaba.
I think that it's better for me to...
You being a Delhiite mistook the geography just because of that one dhaba.
No.
Yeah, that you did. That you definitely did.
I never did anything.
You did. You thought that Rajinder place is in Safdardjung because of
that. I am
Rajinder
very well aware of the places in Delhi, so yeah, that's okay. Shashwat is...
But he's allowed to have this mix-up as well, because there are bigger mix-ups that we've seen in sport. Coming to sport, which is what many of our family members have tuned in for right now.
I remember one very prominent individual mistaking a rifle for a pistol. I remember that.
There are a lot of things that need to be chopped off this life.
It's happened.
Two things I already know the 2 pointers
That's
which
okay, sir.
need to be.
That's fine.
It's happened.
Cut out
It's
after
happened
this.
even with us.
As this honest mistake.
It's happened with us also. I mean, for a lot of time we were grappling with the draws for badminton.
Yeah.
Who's going from number one to single from which group? How many from the doubles? We were all confused with it because such is the nature of the format. It's not easy. Olympics is one of the most difficult events to cover. Keeping track of everything. I mean, look at it. When the archery event happened, immediately there was Djokovic Nadal.
Yeah.
Prior to archery, there was Lakshya Sen. Prior to that, there was Indian hockey. What all will you follow?
Prior to that, you had Manu back in action.
Arjun Babur.
Arjun Babur, Ramita Jindal.
Before that it was Manu.
So,
yeah.
it is, see,
So that what's easy? What's easier, in fact, covering Olympics or understanding the Indian cricket team?
as I said, understanding the Indian cricket team in the Virat Kohli, Ravi Shastri era is very tough. Here also we are kind of not understanding certain people's roles at this point in time.
Okay.
In the Gambhir Surya Kumar Yadav era, that is what our main topic of the dugout is. I am struggling to understand the role of two individuals in the team. One is a Riyan Parag and the other is a Sanju Samson. Riyan Parag has gotten a chance in 4 T20Is. Sanju Samson has been given chances for a decade.
Not
Sanju Samson's
inconsistent chance.
Inconsistent. No. There is a double-edged sword even to that also. Sanju Samson at this point in time, his luck was against him. Number one, when it was a T20 World Cup year, he played only ODIs. When it was an ODI World Cup year, he played only T20s. When he scored big, he was not picked. Rishabh Pant seems to be the de facto selection.
What do you do with him now over the next 6 months?
With whom?
Sanju.
Which is what I'm failing.
I thought you were talking about.
What format do you have him play now?
Shivam has something to say.
I'm a huge Sanju Samson fan,
Yeah.
but he got enough chances.
Yeah, finally.
Okay, now Shivam, which is not wrong at all. He has gotten chances for 10 years. His career overlapped with MS Dhoni and it also overlapped with Rishabh Pant.
So
Now you know whom to blame
but
here.
he never performed that.
But here also there is an argument. Okay, if you look at
See, if
Sanju
you're going
Samson's,
to drop a player after a
Rishabh
couple.
Pant came after that incident and he performed after that. Even
See, you bring Sanju Samson into the team.
So what
beat
Shivam is saying is that Rishabh Pant, even though he was away after that
For a year and a half.
horrific accident that he had on the 30th
of
December 2022, after that he's managed to stage a stronger comeback when the odds were stacked against him than Sanju Samson, who, as many would argue, perhaps didn't get chances as consistently, but even then Rishabh Pant, knowing that he had possibly the same number of chances or even lesser and had an injury to put in the bag, consigned to the past and then move on, even then Rishabh Pant's done much more than Sanju Samson. Do we agree with that?
I think it's a question of a 6-letter word here when you talk about Sanju Samson and Rishabh Pant. Impact. Rishabh Pant has had more impact than a Sanju Samson. Okay. We are talking about overall, not just a format.
Okay.
We are talking about overall. In test matches, Rishabh Pant is a bona fide great. Best match winner you've had.
Can't
as a
really
wicket
replace
keeper.
him, that's for sure.
ODIs, he's been decent. It is only in T20Is where his stocks take a hit.
Yeah.
It's only in the T20Is.
But
Because
then I have a question, there's something that I've been wanting to ask everyone, that even Shivam also for that matter, Sanju Samson made his debut way back in 2015 and it was with Zimbabwe.
14 was it?
14 was the
Under
Under 19
19
World Cup. Okay. Now you look at the chances that he has got. Has he ever got, those chances wherein he has got those 7 to 8 matches in a row? Has it really happened? It's happened with many players like Rohit Sharma also for that matter, who have been given that longer rope, and even Rohit Sharma wasn't really properly utilized. He was batted sometimes at the top of the order, then in middle order, then 6 or 7 or something like that across in ODIs and T20Is. In case of Sanju Samson, I pretty much agree with what all of you are saying here, but there is only one point attached to it that is probably different. And it is that he has never really been given those consistent chances which could have probably helped him cement his place in India's ODI and T20I team.
I'll see. I you know how it is like now. It is like you personally might want. I'm just giving an example. You might be seeing something in Sanju Samson. You might see that X factor in Sanju Samson. I might not. So in that sense, what happens is I personally I might be seeing that X factor in some other player. So I would tend to give that player that extra run, and that might work out or that might not work out. So maybe all these 10 years, why I disagree with you here is that Sanju Samson 10 years is a lot. I know he hasn't gotten that consistent run of 7 to 10 matches, but I also feel that not all players get that. You have to be, maybe it was tough luck for him that the selectors or the management, the captain at that time weren't seeing that X factor in him. That's why he did not get that long rope. But apart from that, I feel he's gotten enough opportunities. And even though when there was no Rishabh Pant for a year and a half, I mentioned this yesterday also, he wasn't able to cement his place in the side. There was an Ishan Kishan to an extent that even Dhruv Jurel came into the picture. So this clearly means that he has gotten all the opportunities. He hasn't sort of maximized those opportunities. I remember he has been tried at the opening slot in the middle order, and that's been consistently because of his performances in the IPL. He has gotten that backing. Maybe the management and selectors at certain points haven't seen him going that far for the Indian team, but that's why he did not get that longer rope. But I feel that is part of sport.
I just want to extend that point because my views are in line with what Shashwat just said. I want to take you guys back to the time that last year IPL, if you remember, Rohit Sharma had said that listen, there are some guys who will be given an extra rope. These are players that the team managements identify, and certain players will be given that long rope. You have to accept that. This is not me saying so. This is Rohit Sharma, as somebody who's been central to this Indian team. The Indian management knows how things function and have functioned, and possibly also in some way continue to function that way, because there are certain things that don't change. Case in point, also being your vice captain, by the way. You are seeing the same thought being extended right now. He was shown the door a couple of months back prior to the World Cup. He was dropped from the T20 side, and look what, there's a change in leadership, there's a change in guard, and who is it that is being turned to now? Again, the person that you dropped. Now, two things. As we know, what works well in case of Shubman Gill, the fact that he's got age on his side, the perception is the key over here. The perception that he's an all-format player, and the larger perception that there is Shubman Gill, we know, who is here for the long haul. We are ready to back to back Shubman Gill for a long time now. Does Sanju Samson fall in the same bracket as a Gill, as let's say a couple of other players? The answer to that is no. In case you're thinking that Sanju Samson falls in the same bracket, the answer is a big no. And I'm saying that with a certain degree of confidence, because that is what you've seen, the kind of treatment that's been meted out to him over the last decade of him being having arrived to this scene. That's the kind of treatment that's been given to Sanju Samson as well, because players that are once identified and the team management has enough faith in them, you don't need reasons to bring them back. Rishabh Pant, KL Rahul, by the way, might I add over there, there are players that in very recent times have been asked to prove their fitness in domestic cricket and show and establish that they're fit for international cricket. KL Rahul, when he was down with his quadricep injury and multiple injuries, how did he walk back and straight into the Asia Cup matches?
That too as a keeper.
Exactly, he didn't have to prove his own. Why? Because he also falls in that bracket. So there are certain players which will always be treated differently than the others. Unfortunate for Sanju Samson that his role also is such that you're looking at enigmatic figures like a Rishabh Pant. You were pitted against a KL Rahul who also falls into that bracket. Rishabh Pant also falls into the bracket. Rishabh Pant falls into that bracket as much as, let's say, Shubman Gill, because you look at his numbers in T20s, they deceive that of a player who's good enough. Let's say now a world champion. His numbers don't really add up to those that you expect from a world champion. Let's be honest about that. You want a little bit of increment in his performances in T20 cricket as well. But because he falls in line with that philosophy, because he's in that bracket, call it unfair. Life is so, sport is no different. Sanju Samson misses out there.
So see, the problem is, I was just opening up. Yeah, please.
There was a man called Jitesh Sharma.
Yes.
He got 3-4 chances. He performed. After that, he dropped.
Yeah, he was dropped.
And
Australia
he was specifically dropped because he did not do well in the IPL. And Pant came back.
And I also will just say,
yes,
He did do well in the T20I for India.
And I think that's why selectors, coaches, a coach and the captain is appointed with such high salaries, because if only if the team is to be selected as per the numbers of them in the IPL or the domestic cricket, then I think that anybody can do. Why they have a specific job? I think that is because to see that X factor in players and identify that and give them their opportunities according to that. That can be wrong. That might just backfire also. But I think that's the thought process behind it.
Because see, I was just digging up certain numbers of Sanju Samson at this point, okay? If you look at his ODI career from 2021 to 2024, he played in the series versus Sri Lanka.
Yes.
He played in the series versus West Indies in 2022. I specify the year 2022 for a very simple reason, that was a T20 World Cup year. So he played in the least important ODI series in that particular time. So West Indies, Zimbabwe, South Africa prior to the T20 World Cup, 3 ODIs there.
Yeah.
He played against New Zealand. He again played versus the West Indies.
New Zealand, you're talking about Siddharth when we visited after the T20 World Cup.
Yes,
And he opened there, right?
November.
Yeah.
And he even opened there, if I'm
No,
not
he
wrong.
was in position 4. He batted at
November of 22 you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
He's played in New Zealand earlier also. That means I remember him opening in New Zealand for India
It
in
must have been
T20.
in a T20.
Yeah.
So
You're talking about 2020. That was just before COVID.
yeah, 2019 series.
2019, 2020.
Anyhow, yes.
So he has played in the least important series in a least important format in that particular year. Okay.
Okay.
So that one argument is that Sanju Samson has been looked as a backup to a backup because he plays in the least important series so far. In the ODI system, that holds true. Now, how good is it in the T20Is? Because the backdrop of the Sanju discussion is when he got the chance with Shubman Gill having a neck spasm, he fell for a first ball duck. The chances, even in the warm-up game, if I'm not mistaken, he fell cheaply versus Bangladesh.
14 or something.
Yeah.
Talking about the T20 World Cup.
T20 World Cup.
14 odd he got.
I think so, yeah. So, he played versus Zimbabwe, okay, in 2015. After that, he had a 5-year gap. Came back in 2020 for the Sri Lanka T20I, got only 1 game. Got 2 games versus New Zealand out of the 5 that happened. 3, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020.
Five.
This was when India went to New Zealand.
Yeah, 2. He got an opportunity in just 2 of them. Australia, he got against all 3. Sri Lanka, he's played. Ireland, West Indies, Sri Lanka. But again, look at the year, 2022-2023. All were T20Is. And that year was an ODI.
ODI year. Yeah.
So, you are not doing justice to Sanju Samson for 3 reasons. Number 1, because the seniors take rest, Pant is resting, everybody else is resting, Sanju, you come and play. Okay, you're doling out a place to Sanju Samson. Second, you haven't given him a fair run, the numbers show. He's not been given a fair run at all. In ODIs and T20Is, he's been playing the series in a least important year.
True.
Sanju, unfortunately, because his other wicket-keeper contenders are doing well. In a Jitesh Sharma, who did well, although the numbers with Jitesh are very, very odd, I may say.
I think it's about the impact with him also.
Impact. What Rishabh Pant gives you to the table
Jitesh
is impact.
also gives that.
Sanju, we established now that there is a perception. There is a perception that Hardik Pandya is perennially unfit. Okay, that's why this vice captaincy was taken away from him. The perception that Sanju Samson is, he's perennially inconsistent. That is why I think Sanju Samson is a big issue.
No.
And how are you going to fit him later on? This is the start of a new cycle. He didn't even, he played only a couple of games in the Zimbabwe series also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
How are you going to fit in a Sanju Samson in the long
I
run?
feel at this
How
point.
or where?
No, at this point, I think he's at the best if it's about his making his place in the side, because at least now he's that backup option as a backup opener or a backup wicketkeeper. He even went to the World Cup. Even before this, getting to your point first, that he is.
But Sashwat, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Whether you look at him as a backup keeper or a backup opener, because as a backup opener, you know where you're playing. As a backup keeper, then you're playing 4 or 5. No, that's 2 different roles.
Yeah.
Where is the role clarity for him?
For him, I feel that he's that, see, either you have a backup wicket, then he's covering 2 slots for you indirectly, because otherwise you would have wanted an extra backup batter, extra backup opener also, and an extra backup keeper also. But with Sanju Samson, what happens now is that he's a backup keeper also. If Rishabh Pant isn't available, then
But why can't he be looked at as a backup opener who can keep?
He's
like
the
Ishan Kishan.
Exactly for that slot only what I feel, because even if Rishabh Pant is injured at some point or is not available, then I think if Sanju comes into
Then he comes at 4.
no, at 3 or 4 according
He's
to the
now
situation.
sealed for Surya.
And or
No,
Surya.
or
Rishabh
Rishabh, then
Pant,
Sanju
depending
will come
upon
na there.
I'm saying if Rishabh's not there, then where do you play him? You play him
3
at
or 4, 3 or 4.
But if Yashasvi gets injured, then you make him open.
He's playing the same role that Ishan Kishan played before.
But again, see, the problem with Sanju seems to be that perception of inconsistency. Okay, and others will jump the queue ahead of him.
Definitely.
Okay, because he's not that one game that he got a chance. Okay, rain curtailed, but still you fell to spin. You're supposed to play spin well. You fell to spin. Either it's Hasaranga troubling you or Sikshana who's troubling you. That you've not overcome.
And
for 4
Hasaranga really
years.
troubled him in 2020.
That was when the entire perception of Sanju was
2021,
built.
yeah.
That was when the entire perception was built. So that is why the same problem I have with the Riyan Parag also. Riyan Parag, okay, in this team of plenty, I know that they are all going to all-rounders in that sense. This regime is inclined to your Dubey, you have a Aksar, you have a Hardik. But then with the Riyan Parag again, like what Arshit said, where do you slot him? Where do you slot a Riyan Parag? Because clearly if you bat him lower down the order, it's not working.
Yeah.
You bat him higher up the order, it's not working. He got 3 wickets, but you saw the nature of those 3 wickets. Agreed. Let us not demean those wickets. He got wickets when the Sri Lankans were wanting to commit kamikaze. But where do you fit him? Is he your backup bowler to a Washington Sundar who's better with the bat and also better with the ball? Riyan Parag's bowling is very dodgy, I would like to say.
No, I think the team is going to give him that longer rope, and I think he is filling in that Washington Sundar slot. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I feel that he should be batting up the order, but I think it's for the Washington Sundar role, and I even feel that he's ahead of Washington Sundar now because of the same reason you did not give the Hardik Pandya the captaincy of having injuries consistently. It's the same problem with Washington Sundar also, and that's why I feel it's Riyan Parag who would be filling in his slot. Bowling, see, I had this perception since yesterday only when he bowled his full quota of overs. So I definitely feel that he's going to fill up that slot. I don't think that's going to work. Is that going to work for him or not? That's still to be seen.
So one thing as far as what I saw him completing his quota of 4 overs was, that tells me, because one of the things you were craving for in this Indian team that turned out to be champions also was the fact that you needed somebody up top who could bat and bowl as well. You didn't have in this side. Rather, it's been the thing ailing the Indian team for quite some time now. The dearth of batters who could bowl, be it just 2 overs, but you've not had such an Indian team over the last 4-5 years. Now, it's not how, let's say, you could depend on a Virender Sehwag back in the day. In ODI cricket as well, you could have him bowl up to 7 overs as well. And of course, in T20 cricket, albeit it wasn't a lot of T20 cricket, but you wanted that facet. You wanted that facet in one of your batters. So maybe Riyan Parag, for that particular purpose, is being groomed. However, the batting position will have to then be sorted out, because Riyan Parag, if you're telling me he's being looked at as the finisher, then I think you need more answers.
Yeah,
you need more answers, because it goes against the Riyan Parag that we know.
Yep.
Okay, I think that in case of Riyan Parag, it's basically going to be horses for courses. I think I said this thing in one of the earlier lives also, that if you're playing in conditions which, favor fast bowling, therein I think you might want to bring Shivam Dube, because you have that, medium pace bowling option. In case of Sri Lanka, obviously the pitches in Sri Lanka tend to offer, assistance for the spinners, and that's why Riyan Parag is probably, given that nod ahead of someone like a Shivam Dube, who has been obviously a World Cup winner and done decently in those chances that he has scored.
But Gulati, the one thing with that being, if it's a spin friendly track, you're saying, then it makes sense to have a Shivam Dube also, because he's a
powerful
murderer.
hitter against spin.
Exactly. Then what do you do?
I think it's
if
about
you're looking at that, then it becomes a bigger problem.
I think the goal here is that probably, and this is just my way of saying things, I feel that going ahead, your 6th or the 7th bowling option is something that India is going to look forward to develop. In case of maybe the pitches wherein, let's just say if you're playing in conditions like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh or even India, you might see Riyan Parag being given the, go ahead, and maybe in case wherein, let's say, India is playing South Africa later this year in November, 4 T20Is. I think Shivam Dube will be a part of those 11, because that in pitches in South Africa, if obviously you're playing under lights, it is going to, be of help to the pace bowlers, and in case of Dubey also, obviously he's not that express pace, and maybe his prime delivery is a cutter one, but then just to make sure that you have an extra bowling option or extra medium pace bowling option, I think Dubey might just fit the bill there. So overall I think it's about making sure that you already have good batters in Parag and Dubey, but how do you maximize or how do you strengthen your sixth or the seventh bowling option going into the T20 World Cup? I think that is probably the mindset that I am able to figure out.
Yeah. Even I feel so. It's not about the batting that in spin conditions. I think even Riyan Parag is a good enough batter to spin also. I think it's about more what the player is giving you with the ball. Is it spin or is it that little medium pace? Even I feel that it's going to be either one of them according to the conditions. If you need a six bowler, a fast bowler, then you'll go with a Dubey. Or if Dubey doesn't deliver with the ball, you have a Nitish Kumar ready also.
Yes.
And if you need,
But if you need a spinner, you've got a Washi.
I actually.
But I think it's more about the inconsistency he has as far as his fitness is concerned, and also I feel the team is backing Riyan Parag as more as a batter. I think with the bowl, even Riyan Parag, he would be given more opportunities to bowl and see how he turns out to be. But with the bat, even I personally feel that it's Riyan Parag who's a better batter.
Fitness, I think, goes against Washi.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yes.
And that's what the team has clearly shown, that they need fit players and all format players.
One thing that I can be sure of for this India's T20 side is that you're not going to see too many changes in the bilateral series that play. Obviously, there will be a plenty changes when they tour South Africa, because then
It is
the likes of
between New Zealand and BGT.
Yeah, because the likes of Rishabh Pant, Siraj, and all
might
will
want
be
to preserve them for BGT.
will be in Australia. That is going to be an exception, but overall you're just going to probably witness a combination of around 13 or 14 players consistently.
Yeah, I see that happening
is
till
going to be the case.
2026 now. I think it's mostly going to be this side that you're going to see during the 20, apart from one or two changes, more or less I think it's going to be this team for the 26.
Pretty much.
So let's take a couple of comments at this point, because Daniel M is saying, why Sanju in T20s with 21 average and not ODIs with 56 average? BCCI wants him to fail by playing him in weaker format. That's irrelevant to next tournament. But see, the problem is it Sanju's fault that he's averaging 21 in T20Is and 56 in ODIs? Because that has polarized the opinion totally. Everybody hangs on to that particular average, and then they say, oh, it's injustice done to Sanju Samson. But what can he do about it? Because he's playing him in a weaker format. What is a weaker format, Daniel M? There is no weak format or a strong format. It's a format. You perform well in it. If you don't perform well in it, well, it's your hard luck. So it is a fantastic situation that Sanju Samson has put everybody off us in. Fantastic in a very ironical way, because what do we make of him? What do we do after 10 years of Sanju Samson?
And I think it's been high time now. Either he needs to, sort of arrive finally now, or gradually he'll just fade away.
Yep. Danush is saying 4-0 in SF and final. Great job by Pant, said by Siddharth. But yaar, I know with the bat he will never get plaudits. I know that. With the bat he will never get the plaudits.
And the Pakistan game 42?
But again, that was way back. People don't have that much of a memory. If people want to have an agenda against Pant, you can't stop the fans, because that's what is their birthright under freedom, Article 19 of the Constitution. They'll have an agenda for it. So that is the problem.
I saw this coming.
Yeah. A. Venkat though is saying, is it possible, permitted, that BCCI could make two equally good teams and have two bilateral series with different countries simultaneously? More cricket and fun for fans. More revenue for people, please. More cricket nowadays is not fun for fans anymore.
And I don't quite appreciate the timing A. Venkat of it, because ask us, there's already too much happening.
I mean,
just imagine there being another parallel series happening right now.
Already one is happening.
I mean, look at it. We are going to have a lot of trouble on 2nd, 4th and 7th of August. Because you're not having a T20I match, you're having an ODI match. The last of the 6 ODIs, 3 have been played.
7th is also the day you're going to be building up to a certain Neeraj Chopra.
And all the team for the ODIs have also reached Sri Lanka.
Yes, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and all have reached Colombo. You saw the visuals of, I think it's running on social media where Virat Kohli has just left Bandra Naike airport, and I think Abhishek Nair has been given the chance to oversee the nets.
Yeah, the ODI team.
ODI team practice session nets. Abhishek Nair is going to.
And even what I've heard is that Morne Morkel is also about to join.
Yes,
during
But
the
it is
ODIs.
going to be for the Bangladesh series. More
Not
than
for the
likely.
ODIs?
No. More than likely for the Bangladesh
That's why
series.
Sairaj Bautule is the interim coach.
Yeah, he's there for
So,
So Kiran Khatri has a comment and it is addressed to me. Okay, as Sidji said, he just hasn't got a 7-8 game run. He's talking about Sanju Samson, but got that one chance at times in ODIs. He hasn't done
has
it.
done it.
He has done it. Still wasn't picked in it. Just said, to be frank, he isn't favoured. No great domestic record as well. I think in case of Sanju Samson, obviously I'm tempted to believe the points that have been made by Shashwat and Harshit, that the perception is there that maybe he's not that good enough to be a consistent part of your 11 in ODIs and T20Is. But then I think there's also this thing that if you do not put someone into those, I think, deep water, then how are you probably going to test the mettle of that person? That's the point.
No, but if today Sanju is given 10 opportunities, that will only be on basis of what he has done in the IPL. Then there are many other players who should get 10 games in a row. Then each player would would expect and would be unfair on any other player if that player isn't given 10 games consistently. I agree with Harshit sir what he said about KL Rahul. He's somebody who has gotten the longest rope, if I could remember. He even came into the test side as a wicket keeper when he wasn't. Then he stopped wicket keeping. So things have been in favor of KL Rahul, but that is because the team believes in him. The team sees him as a future prospect for the Indian team. They see him play for a long time, and maybe I might not be in favor of that, but that's what the team thinks, and it could be the vice versa for Sanju Samson as well.
Yep. So it is a big issue that we are facing. I mean, the problem of plenty, and if there is no role clarity, remember, most issues were swept under the carpet after India won the T20 World Cup. But it will soon arise, and if you don't win 2026, then all those things would be repeated over and over again.
25.
But at least
26 T20 World Cup and 25 ODI Champions Trophy. See, the Champions Trophy is just a small bump in the road. You're looking at 2026 T20 World Cup at home and the
You
2027
hope that it doesn't prove to be a bump.
Well, I mean, see, we first don't know where is it going to be played. That we don't know. We'll only come to know about it in September mostly.
Yeah.
So
I think in case of Samson is one
September,
thing.
I think you could see a delay, in fact.
No, we heard it here that we'll come to know in September.
sources in the know.
Yeah.
Sources in the know?
Yeah, they have.
That Champions Trophy decision will happen in September.
Yeah. Sources in the know of things.
Yeah.
Before
Last-
that, all of that is going to be just.
But I think one thing in case of Samson is clear, that the management is looking at him as an opener in T20Is, at least for now. And if he doesn't do well in the chances that he'll probably get, if someone gets injured, maybe Jaiswal or a Gill, then I think you'll make way for some. He'll
At
make
least
way
Which
for
is
some.
actually right. Which
Yeah.
is right, because you have to have him bat 1, 2, 3. Simple as that, because that's what you see from him in the IPL. Yes, one could argue that 2 years back he was told to be the finisher, but maybe we got to forget that story. Maybe you got to clean the slate and only look at him as somebody who can bat in the top 3
It
positions.
is like the 3D comment. Finisher role didn't age well.
Yeah.
In that sense.
No, but then even if Pant, even if he comes in as a backup wicket keeper, I think he'd bat at number 3, because Pant, at this point you have a Surya or Pant, one of them come at number 3. That's because of the right-left combination. But if Sanju comes in, I think you might just see him bat at 3 only.
So the last comment that we are taking is ICT making same mistake. ICT, Indian cricket team, making same mistake with Pant they made with KL. We won T20 World Cup once KL was out. Ouch. KL and RP for tests and ODI only. Long rope will become noose again.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
See, I can remember 2 only his knocks against Pakistan in 2 World Cups, one in 21, one this time. I know that wasn't in a winning cause, but I see he's somebody, you remember, I go back to that England series where England had come home. When you have a Rishabh Pant in the dressing room, you know he has to come out to bat. The thought process of the opposition team completely changes, and I think that's exactly the impact he gives.
yep. So the T20I series is all but done. 2-0 India leading. Tomorrow is the final T20I before we jump into the ODIs that happen. Out of the 6 ODIs before the Champions Trophy build-up, 3 are going to be played right in the middle of Olympics. Thank you. And yes, today India's medal chances are done. no medal has come today. I'll be doing a special wrap on that. And tomorrow,
What's special about Siddharth not winning a medal? You're saying special rap?
special
Rap
wrap
is
because
special.
today you came close
Ah,
once. The margin that you were all preparing for a medal, by the way.
Babuta.
Babuta, and also the hockey team. Man, oh man, they have made escaping out of jail a fashion in Paris Olympics 2020.
It's a good fashion, no?
But it will catch up sooner or later in a bad way.
Leaving it too late.
Leaving
I
it
think,
too
yeah,
late,
you're.
yes.
That's the one thing you have to say about the hockey.
I mean, we
team.
were when Harmanpreet had taken the 7th penalty corner, and if he had converted, we were saying, "Oh, Thala for a reason if that happened." 10th
10th penalty corner, Siddharth. This actually takes me back to 3 years back in the Olympics. This is the same problem with the Indian
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
conversion of the penalty corners was an issue 3 years back in Tokyo also.
World Cup. Harmanpreet missed 15 penalty corners. And India didn't win the World Cup. They were knocked out in the fourth round itself by New Zealand. So that's why all those things. Franklin Patnaik, any hope for medal in tomorrow games? Well, Shashwat will be doing a story on that. There is one medal hope. I think you might win one medal tomorrow.
Bronze.
In
Arjun and Sarabjot. Oh,
No,
Sarabjot and
Manu
Manu.
and
which could happen.
But that could be at best a bronze.
Because they are
bronze
fighting for a bronze medal only.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that is the current situation we have. So Olympics is done for the day with only one match remaining. Manika Batra is in action
That's at 11:30 at night. Yeah.
But that's a qualification event. Let's hope she makes it. Otherwise, India's challenge in TT is also shrinking. By
Tennis
Sharat
is
Kamal
over.
is already out.
Tennis
is
over.
over.
Swimming
Archery
over.
is left. Individual events.
swimming
Table
over.
tennis, mixed events are left.
There is a doubles and a mixed event.
Shrija Kula and Sharat Kamal.
Yes. Let's hope they repeat the
Yeah.
Commonwealth magic. Yeah. For T20, we need better wicketkeeper bat other than Pant Samson. Ouch, totally left field selection from
That's
me.
what Jitesh maybe he's talking about.
Yeah, could be.
But Jitesh, I think again he's not
Or
getting young.
Ishan Kishan.
Ishan
Ishan Kishan could be a good shout. Dhruv Jurel. yeah.
Dhruv also, but then, yep, let's see.
Who else to be?
With Jurel's name, I see Ashish Ranjan is also mentioned.
Ashish Ranjan's also. Do you think Sanju Samson has given away his last chance? Since Dhruv Jurel is also seen as a backup wicketkeeper in all formats, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think it's going to be Sanju Samson because again, for the batting position you're looking at, Sanju Samson is more.
Could be.
Yep.
Because two different roles.
That's why I'm saying this is the best he has made it to the Indian team. At least now he's a certified backup in the team. He was never guaranteed in any team, right? Before
But
this.
even then, I don't know because there are people like Abhishek Sharma breathing down his neck who are bona fide openers.
keepers, nah.
Bona fide
The problem
openers.
is keeping
There is a
option.
Rituraj also.
But again,
as
it's
an
about
opener.
the keeping option.
Keeping. So that's the way. Problem of plenty, better utilization.
If
one
some
hopes.
wicket keeper comes who can bat up the order, then he.
Ishan Kishan.
Ishan Kishan.
So tomorrow, let us
Porel.
see.
Who knows the time that his exile is over?
Maybe Bangladesh series. in
Exactly.
No, you even have Abhishek Porel, Delhi boy.
Bangladesh, he scored a double hundred against also.
Exactly.
He loves
Yes.
playing against Bangladesh.
Or I think Ishan Kishan's best chance would be the South Africa
And you
series.
never know, KL Rahul can.
Because you'll not have multiple.
KL Rahul can come. No, KL Rahul isn't in this.
I think.
I think it's
now he is
T20I
also
is done.
accepted. Yeah.
T20 is.
And the team management, I think, has made it very clear to KL Rahul
Yeah.
that we've looked
Best
past
in
you.
ODIs.
Indeed.
And you got results as well.
You got results. You won the T20 World Cup without KL Rahul. That is stamped forever. No Shane today, otherwise it would have. He would have been.
No Shane today.
Yeah. No Shane
It's
today.
not just today.
I know that, but still, we are talking about KL Rahul and Shane not chipping in. Seems slightly off. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. We'll be back with more updates on sports today, and tap that bell icon, subscribe, and Nandri, Vanakkam, Shubhratri, Shabba Khair, eat your vegetables.
Don't trouble your mother.
Help us get quickly to 500k. We are reaching that milestone soon. Please. Bye-bye.